the fact that we were doing the commercial fishing was kind of more relevant as time went on, because we thought that, food was going to be an issue. So the commercial fishing and crabbing was going to be kind of like a supplement. We could use that to barter for anything. We figured if anybody had any gasoline, we could get gasoline to operate the boat in exchange for food, okay, or whatever, but I mean, it was kind of like that was the mindset that we were in at the time. It wasn't the mindset when we actually got into the business. It was the mindset as everything back then was doing what it is now. I mean, if that makes any sense. And it's kind of still a part of our plan and our strategy, for quote unquote survival and for prepping. I mean, this boat to us is a major prep, because I can take this boat out and I can gather substance. We can gather food, seafood or whatever, and it's good to eat, so long as you're not like allergic to, seafood and get seafood poisoning, and if you are, I feel sorry for you. But so I worked this boat about 10 years, and everything else around us was just kind of like passing us by. Everything got better, like around 2016, and we was okay up till about 2020, but that still didn't convince me to go back to work or anything like that. I was kind of settled in and kind of really enjoyed working on the water. We had a lot of fun. We got a lot of memories. We had a lot of good times. And so I just opted to keep doing that. Now, a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, when I pulled the boat out of the water, like I was saying in a previous video, the crabs kind of like almost disappeared for one reason or another. And one year we started off great. We were just cooking, and we was bringing in the crabs. We had an early onset of spring, and we was making a little bit of money. And then all of a sudden, kind of like in May, we got this like Arctic blast. And for about a week, the temperatures just like dropped significantly. And the male crabs and the female crabs in May, usually like, April, May time frame, they're doing their thing. And so the males were kind of intermingled with the female. And then with that cold blast, what happens is females usually don't hang around when it starts getting cold. Their water temperature needs to be at around 63 degrees. And if you have water that's only like, 2-3 feet deep, it don't take much to cool that water off, all right? So what happened was the water started getting colder and the females took off, headed back into deeper waters, because believe it or not, it's actually a little warmer in the thermoclines offshore than it is inshore when that happens. So the male crabs kind of took off after them. I mean, they weren't done. And so after that, the crabbing turned to nothing. I mean, it went away. And as time progressed from May, let's see, I crabbed for another year. And we usually were catching anywhere from, I'd say, 15 boxes as an average. So, 12 to 20 boxes of crab. But over the course of the next year, we went down to like 6 boxes. And then we get through the winter and it was bad. We get into the next spring and then we dropped to like 5 boxes, and then it went down to like 3 boxes. And I think we had a closure that year. The trap closure means you got to pull your traps out of the water. FWC goes through, they send people out to hunt and collect derelict and abandoned traps. When I pulled those traps out, I think I got about 300 that I had in the water, and I think I got a box and a half of crabs out of 300 traps. And that was in July, okay? You know, and so when I pulled that last cork out of the water, I said, that's it. I'm not going back in. I'm gonna wait till the crabs get a lot better. I did, you know. I started taking all the superstructure and all the components loose in the boat. And then what I did after I got all that, I need to, you know, take a few things off the back. I'm going to show that to you in here in a minute, but I want you to look, if you can see, you know, this, here, let me bring you up a little closer. You know, what I got to do is, I got to get the boat off, but I just wanted you to check this out. I'll get a closer look when we pull down here. But I had a young kid who had never drove, actually, you know, sitting in the truck waiting for me to get the boat on the trailer. Anyway, back the boat up, or the trailer back up in the water a little bit farther than he should. And I kind of, you know, rammed this trailer tower, or this winch tower, and, you know, this thing is cracked from here to there and just kind of, you know, smashed in. There's a few other spots on the boat. You know, so, you know, I'm gonna have to get that repaired. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take you back, and I'm gonna get the wood rails and that rack off, and then I'm gonna see what we can do about yanking this boat off the trailer. So, all right, what I've got to do is I gotta get this, that, and this off the boat, okay? One rail down and one to go. Get it off, get this rail off, and get it out of the way. I've got that wood rack, I've got to get it out of the way too. One thing I wanted to kind of go over with, you know, I mean, working on the water, you know, a lot of times, I mean, it's hard work. I mean, everything challenges you while you're out there. Your patience, you know, whether you should be out doing what you're doing when you're doing it. And, you know, a lot of times when you're like working on the water, you know, you got the expense of your bait and you got the expense of the gasoline to get out there. And when, you know, you've got, you know, 300 or so traps that you need to run and empty and check, and, you know, and bait up so they keep catching. That's the thing. You got to keep the traps baited up so they continually catch, because the bait don't last sometimes even 2 hours. On the back of the boat, I got these holes. I got holes through the hull. And these holes, so like if you know, the boat takes on water, you get a wave that crashes over the top, or it's raining, while the boat's moving, the water will run out of these holes. You could actually be working in the boat and sit still like in a creek or something, and the boat will take on a little bit of water only because the holes or the styrofoam's full of water. If it didn't sink below the water line, you know, that wouldn't happen. But all you gotta do is like put it in gear and start moving, and that water rushes right out and the boat empties out. And that's what the purpose of the holes in the hull are. Right now I've got to, I need to loosen this transducer. Or actually what I need to do is I just need to take it off. I don't need this thing to get damaged. This thing here is a pretty penny. This is, you know, to read the bottom. Tells you the water depth, the water temperature. Okay, well what I got is I got this come along. And I'm going to feed the cable and take it around over here. Now the one thing, and you know, I mean, and there's a possibility that it could happen, is that the cable, this part of the transom is a little weaker than this side over here. The guy that had the boat before me had cut this out, and while he was grouper fishing, he'd use this cutout area to land his grouper. I don't think it was a good idea, and I don't think he did either, because he ended up doing some kind of makeshift repair on it. And I mean, it worked for, the boat works for me, so I'm not really all that concerned about it. But I'm gonna hook that hook to the come along, and then I'm gonna take and hook the come along to the truck. And let's see, is it locked? Did I get it locked? Yep, it's locked. Oh goodness, now the moment of truth. Do that. I've got a couple of tires on this side, and I have a smaller one on the other side. And my goal is to pull that trailer, and I'll get it up about 3/4 of the way. And then the boat will be hopefully laying on the ground, right? Or in the back. And then I can take these tires and push it up on this side underneath of the boat, so that when it finally comes off the trailer, it'll be resting on the tires, hopefully about, you know, yay high. I got a smaller tire on the other side that I want to put. So what I'm hoping is the boat will be kind of like doing this, you know, kind of slanted that way. And then I want to slide the cable. You know what? I'll go over that when we get there. Yeah, it's probably going to be an ancient engineering feat of art. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see if I can get that Tahoe started and start yanking this boat out.